Good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome to the launch of the Oxfordshire Local Skills Improvement Plan. Delighted to have so many of you on the call this morning, and thanks ever so much for giving up your valuable time to be with us. If we go to the next slide, please, Ned. Thank you. As you can see from the running order here, we've got a range of different speakers for you this morning. They're all here to talk about some of the initiatives which are already underway to meet the skills needs identified in the LSIP. And the idea really this morning is to give you a flavour of the things that are already beginning to happen and the people that are involved in that, and some ideas of what's coming next on the back of the publication of the report. A couple of bits of housekeeping from us. It's a webinar format, so you'll see that all the cameras and mics are switched off, other than for those that are presenting. You can't access the chat function, but you can use the Q&A function. So please, if you want to raise questions, do click on the Q&A button, and we will spend a little bit of time towards the end this morning answering some of those questions, but we will make sure we get answers to all the questions out to you after the event as well. Just a very brief overview of where we've got to now. So stage one of the Local Skills Improvement Plan is now completed. So that was the research and the writing of the report. Over 1,000 employers engaged with, lots of close collaboration with providers, partners, trade bodies, and the report obviously written, approved, and published. And a massive thank you to everyone that's been involved in that process. We now move on to stage two, and this really is a launch event for stage two of the Local Skills Improvement Plan. And the real work starts here, to be honest. That we've got a roadmap of actions in the plan, which we believe and the research we've done suggests will help to even better meet skills needs in the priority sectors going forward. And carrying out these actions is our focus for the next 2 years. But it's true to say we can only succeed in that in working in partnership with all of you. Today is about these actions. It's about the progress already being made with them, and the speakers will give you a flavour of that. There are a number of other actions in the roadmap that we won't cover. We haven't got time to cover today. Please do take the time to have a good read through it, and do reach out to us and get in touch, either if you'd like to be involved in any of those roadmap actions, or indeed if you have questions about them. Next slide, please, Ned. Okay, I'm delighted to welcome Paul Britton, Chief Executive of Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce, who's going to do an introduction to the events. Paul.
Thank you, Simon. I hope you can all hear me. And just to add to Simon's messages, thank you for joining us at this launch event for the publication of the LSIP Local Skills Improvement Plan this morning for the wonderful, vibrant county of Oxfordshire, which I have a strong affinity with, having been educated in Oxfordshire. My first work experience at Hook Norton Brewery, which explains a lot, I think. But this event is brought to you by the Skills Unit, Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce, and we hope this will give you a sense of the significance of the report. But as Simon's just said, it's also about the recommendations and action plans to tackle the skills shortages and enhance post-16 technical education in Oxfordshire. The foundations for developing the report were laid out actually over a number of years, and some of that work has been done as a collective by accredited chambers across England. They've been delivering the majority of the local skills improvement plans as employee representative bodies, but also locally, because of course, as many of you are aware, many of the businesses across the Thames Valley have reported quarter on quarter that recruitment and access to skills remains a key challenge and barrier to growth. And many of those challenges are complex, and employers often need help in navigating the skills system. So delighted that the Chamber is involved in trying to address this quite complicated challenge. So building on Simon's message as a thank you and our gratitude, to the employers, colleges, training providers, all of you involved, and particularly the local skills improvement plan advisory board. You've given up your time. You've helped, along with Stuart Carroll, who is an excellent champion for the programme. Stuart is a director with success story Moderna. You may have heard of Moderna and their recent investment at Harwell in Oxfordshire, a huge success story for the UK. I was with Stuart when we met the Chancellor recently, and he very passionately made the case for the LSIP programme, the work that you have all committed to, and seeking a pledge from the Chancellor to continue, given we've got the autumn statement and the looming general election. So the Chamber has used its reach to talk to over 1,000 employers across Oxfordshire and further afield, and this kind of engagement, volume and quality conversations is so super important that we believe it's not happened on that scale before, and we must keep it going. And I've seen firsthand, and many of the call have, just what difference it is making to both employers and to colleges to help to co-develop some of the solutions that we're going to need. And so we need more of those enlightened local businesses. So I'm now going to hand over to Anna Gratian, who's going to help to steer us through this session. Just once again, a big thank you. And my key message is we're at the start of this programme, and we're very grateful for the support that you've given so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate your introduction there. We're now going to follow on with some of the key aspects that Simon's been talking about that are coming out of the actions from the LSIP findings that we found in Oxfordshire. And what I'm going to introduce now is this brief video from Sarah Powell, who is the HR director at Le Manoir, a capture saison, obviously based in Oxfordshire, not far from myself, which is always nice. She is taken on the role of not only being on the advisory board in stage one, but is also taking on being the employer champion for the hospitality and visitor economy, one of the priority sectors. And this sector is one of the areas we're looking at developing workforce development partnerships, which I think leads on with what Paul was saying about this co-development of tackling some of the skills challenges that are out there. So we're also going to be looking at developing workforce development partnerships in construction and health and life sciences within Oxfordshire in the first instance. So Ned, if we could play the video from Sarah, please.
Hi, my name is Sarah Powell. I am the HR Director at Le Manoir or Quatre Saisons, and I'm also the Interim Divisional HR Director for Belmond, and I look after all of the properties in Northern Europe and Africa. I've been with the company for 4 years, and I've been in hospitality all my life, and I have worked with, for the pleasure of working with the LSIP team for, I want to say a few months, but it's probably been over the past year or so, and I'm delighted to see that all local sectors and not just hospitality can finally come together and future-proof our industries and showcase all the fantastic local careers that are available. And hospitality in all of its forms will always be needed by locals, by tourists, by internationals. And so I feel this partnership is a step in the right direction. I spent a lot of my career talking about the skills gap that we often see, as well as showcasing hospitality in general as an amazing career. But I'm excited now to be working with the LSIP team and also the Workforce Development Partnership, as we can now start to take action to move forward and to bring all of these discussions to life. In general, I'm looking forward to joining the forums and all of the forums that the partnership will provide, just to gain insights into the skills that are needed across the sector and making it very specific to the sector that you work in, and also how we can generate some resources to signpost employees and employers and future employees where we can go to look for our next talent, our next skills, and to really understand more about that. I've always fostered and believed in working with local colleges, charities, education institutions, schools and training providers, but I feel now it's more important than ever to strengthen the relationships so we can all move forward as a united front and develop something we can all be proud of, and to say that we've contributed to shape now and also to shape the future. and all to be on the same page. I think in the past, here at Le Manoir, we've invited careers leads from local schools, from SEND schools to come to visit Le Manoir, to see what we do, to showcase the industry, but more so to have a conversation of how we can work together in the future. What are our challenges when it comes to bringing in their students? What are their challenges to get their students to us? Do they understand the industry as much as we do? And also the huge range of careers that are involved. Just even at Le Manoir, it's a very small property, but we have 21 different departments, and you don't always think of that when you think of hospitality. So the range of jobs is vast within a small sector. For me, it's essential that all players then are in the game. We're all in the same game. We're all working together to the same goal for the best outcome and support each other moving forward. Quite often we work in little silos around, which causes problems. And we can't continue to do the same thing and expect something different to come out at the end of it. And when it comes to the future of working with the partnership, I really want to see those actions come as well. I think we've all been to those meetings whereby we talk and talk and talk, and then a few weeks later or a few months later, we talk and talk and talk about the same things. But I'm really interested to see what actions now become of it, all supported by the partnership framework, because I think that's going to make the biggest difference that we can see. Previously, I've worked on small scales, whether it's just me individually or just as a business, to provide experience for locals and to provide them with either employment or skills that they need in hospitality. And I think just scaling this up in terms of the whole sector, and also scaling it up in terms of geography and working with Oxfordshire and Berkshire, I think it's going to have more of an impact, and hopefully we can affect that change a lot quicker. Coming together will really allow us to share those best practices, generate ideas, maybe get a little bit more energy when it comes to making those changes to really work together. It has been a very challenging year, or even a couple of years, and I think just coming together and bringing us all together, it will really start to change, and not to lose focus on the teams you have as well as the team that you don't have and you're trying to recruit. So bringing us all together, I think it's really exciting to see how we can make existing teams stronger and also develop that pipeline for the future. And so that's all I have to say in a nutshell, and I'm looking forward to see what the future holds with LSIP and also the Workforce Development Partnership. Thank you.
Okay, next slide, please, Ned. And a big thank you to Sarah there for all her messages. Some really important messages I think she gets across. And those workforce development partnerships will be a key driving force for the kind of changes she was talking about in a number of the priority sectors. However, the need for new education and training to meet skills needs is another key aspect of the local skills improvement plan and the action plan within it. And we're delighted to have Sally Andreu, followed by Jonathan Adams, to talk about some of the work being done in that area of the creation of new provision. And Sally is up first.
Hi, thank you, and thanks, Simon, and thank you, Paul, for inviting me to join the call this morning, and good morning to everybody. If you'd like to take me to the next slide, please, that would be great. Thank you. Really taking Sarah's point there from Le Manoir is actually, I think that theme of existing teams and the pipeline is really key, and it's something that we're really focused on at Oxlep, and certainly we're looking. You can see the slide there on skills boot camps, and skills boot camps is certainly something that we're looking at as a suite of interventions which we've been offering at Oxlep Skills. Potentially, we've been unlocking the apprenticeship levy. We've actually unlocked £1.2 million and grown apprenticeships of 80 new apprenticeships. So that's something where we're looking at existing themes, which Sarah's talked about, but also the pipeline. And actually, skills boot camps is something that has been referenced really heavily in the LSIPs, which is, I think, quite right. We've looked at that as an organisation, and actually we're looking at how we can actually put a proposal to the Department of Education to deliver 10 skills boot camps from the start of next year on a different theme. And actually, just to kind of take us back about skills boot camps, if you're not aware, they're 16-week flexible training courses for adults, 19 plus, from levels 3 to 5, and they're suitable for everybody, those people returning back to work after a skills gap, and looking those to reskill and upskill, self-employed, independent learners, and actually those people that are currently in employment and those employers would like to put those people on those courses, although there will be a contribution required from those businesses. The kind of courses we're looking at includes data analytics, Amazon Web Services, cloud services, digital marketing, hospitality. So Sarah will be really thrilled that we're looking at that. Green sustainability skills, green construction, engineering, manufacturing and health, and life sciences. So it's quite a broad suite of skills boot camps we're looking to potentially deliver. And I have to say, this is a potential we haven't yet put in our application to DFE, but we are looking to do that over the next fortnight. And hopefully, like I said, if all going well, to start delivering these from January of next year till early 2025. Part of the boot camps is that all of those people who are unemployed, who are looking for work, would be looking for an interview from a potential employer. So we would ask any employers on the call who are interested to learn more to get in touch with us, and we can certainly keep you in the loop as to our plans and how things develop, and then let you know as to what's happening and which courses are running when. So that's it from me for now, but thank you so much again for the opportunity, and I look forward to working with all of you in the near future.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Sally. If we could have the next slide, please, Ned. And you can see we've got Jonathan Adams up next. He's going to talk about the new provision that's being looked at from FE colleges. Just before we move on, I think it was great to hear, Sally, actually, that those new boot camps you're looking at very much align to the priorities that are in the local skills improvement plan. So really good evidence that joined up thinking.
Absolutely,
that Sarah alluded to as well. Okay, over to you, Jonathan.
Thanks, Simon. So first of all, just to explain my role here. So I work for Activate Learning. So we run Banbury Vista College and City of Oxford College, the two campuses in Oxford. But actually here I'm representing all of the FE colleges in Oxfordshire. So that's also Aberdeen and Whitley College and Henley College, because we've been working a lot together to see how we respond to the local skills improvement plan. So first of all, just a bit of background, I suppose, in terms of what the local skills improvement plan means for further education colleges, and what our role is in meeting them. So the LSIPs were part of the government's Skills for Jobs white paper. And what government's really trying to achieve in a series of reforms was to make further education colleges in particular more accountable for the extent to which they meet local and national skills needs. And the LSIPs are part of a wider set of reforms to encourage us to do that. So there's probably three key reforms I just want to talk to you briefly about today. So the first is how we're inspected during Ofsted. So Ofsted inspections historically have been relatively narrow and focused on the quality of the student experience. They've historically not tended to focus on how well the provision that we delivers actually meets and reflects local skills needs. And it now does. So we're now all judged on that. And Activate Learning was one of the first colleges to go through that revised inspection process. So, and I'm pleased to say we were found to be meeting providing a strong contribution to meeting the skills needs, which is the highest grade you can get. So just to give you a flavour of what that involved, so Ofsted spoke to around about 50 different stakeholders. So thank you to those of you that were involved. So businesses, civil organisations, local enterprise partnerships, local authorities, local community groups, really to get a sense of whether or not those stakeholders were involved in helping to design and deliver the provision that we run. They wanted to see evidence that employers were involved and that students had lots of contact and interactions with students, and that the curriculum had been designed around meeting skills needs. So, so all colleges will need to take notice of this. The second is we're all required to conduct an evaluation of a self-assessment of how well we think we meet skills needs, and we have to do that in response to the LSIP. So now that the LSIP has been published, we will all as colleges have to conduct an evaluation and say, well, how well do we think our current provision meets those skills needs? And what do we need to do over the next 3 years to improve and make sure it better meets skills needs in future? And every year we'll have to produce what's called an accountability statement, which is the actions we're going to take to make sure our curriculum evolves to better meet skills needs. Then the final thing I want to talk about is the Local Skills Improvement Fund. So that is a bid that we're submitting this week to the Department for Education. And as I said, we're doing that on behalf of and in partnership with the other colleges in the area. So Oxfordshire has been, and in fact, Simon, can you move on to the next slide? Give a bit more detail. So Aberdeen and Whitney College, Ruskin College, Activate Learning, Henley College are the partners. So we're bidding in combination for £2.5 million of funding, and that's the allocation the department's made to Oxfordshire, and that's a mixture of capital and revenue spending. I won't give you a blow-by-blow account of all of those things, but in arriving at how we're choosing to spend that money, what we've had to do is look at the LSIP and say, well, where do we think the biggest gaps in our current provision are, and what can we do to better meet skills needs? And indeed, we have to work with the Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce as the employer representative body. They're responsible for signing off the bids and for saying, yes, we think this is going to help to improve and meet skills needs. The most important thing is that we're doing this in partnership between the colleges, and that therefore in combination we meet local skills needs. So there might be some things that one college choose to specialise in to meet skills needs that another college doesn't. Whereas there'll be other things we perhaps all need to provide. So just a quick run through. So Aberdeen and Whitney, broadly speaking, they've chosen to focus very much on green technologies, particularly in construction. So you'll see there in a big investment in their electrical installation suite. That's with a particular view, as emphasised in the LSIP, on green technology, so things like electric vehicle charging and solar PV. Ruskin College is focused on leadership and management, which was a kind of cross-cutting theme across the LSIP. For Activate Learning, we've focused on a few things. So the biggest capital investment we're putting in is in science labs. Fairly obviously in Oxford itself, that's massive. Life sciences is a massive part of the economy. We need to encourage more young people to go into that. But we're also partnering on a sustainability programme, so to help train up people to become sustainability champions within their businesses. So that's with Oxfordshire Green Tech as a partner. And then short courses in data analytics and electric vehicle safety. Henley College predominantly working with 16 to 19-year-olds. They're focusing on AI and robotics investment to inspire more young people to pursue careers in those fields. I should say there's also a proposal that some of the money would go to the Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce to continue the work they're doing to engage businesses in working with local colleges. So beyond that, I'll just say an open invitation. I mean, on behalf of all of the colleges, if you're keen to find out how much more you can get involved, or you've got a particular skills need for a business or a stakeholder, we're always open to more conversations. We're going to want lots of partners involved, so please do get in touch if you want to know how you can help contribute to the work we're doing on meeting local skills needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. That's great, and I think again, really showing the that word coming through around partnership and collaboration in making these things happen. And it's great to see the development of these courses under the Local Skills Improvement Fund aligning absolutely with the priorities coming out of the LSIP. I think if we could just go on to the next slide, please, Ned. I think one of the other key features of the Local Skills Improvement Plan is being around trying to promote the breadth of careers and opportunities that are there within Oxfordshire. And we've been working with a number of organisations in Oxfordshire and Berkshire, including Advisor and both the LEP growth hubs. And we're really pleased that we've got Sandra Reynolds and Nikki Wakefield here today to tell you a little bit more about some of the projects that are developing in this area. So if I could hand over to Sandra, please.
Good morning, everyone. If I could just have my slides up, that would be great. Brilliant, thanks very much. So if we could just have the next slide. Thank you. So yeah, I've been asked today just to talk for very short time about enhancing careers guidance. So there are many ways that the LSIP can help progressive careers organisations like Advisa to hone and enhance their careers advice. So as we all know, the employment landscape remains unpredictable, changeable and challenging. So the UK needs a joined up approach to developing critical skills in our young people and our adults. And so, we're really excited to be part of that. So thanks very much for inviting us today. So next slide, please. So one of the projects that we run across Berkshire and Oxfordshire is the National Career Service, which, in case anybody hasn't heard of it, is a fully funded adult careers guidance service. And we've got a network of advisors working across Berkshire and Oxfordshire and all sorts of different community venues, job centres, colleges, training providers. And we work with and engage with many different audiences, through webinars, through workshops, also one-to-one careers guidance and job fairs. I've just written down here a very small selection, but I think it just shows how many different people we can reach to actually inform them about these different skill shortage areas that have been identified as part of the LSIP. So as ex-offenders, we work with the probation service, women returners, 50 plus and career changers, because I think it's really important that the message goes out to everyone. So if people are making choices about which career they might want to go into, that they've got all this information available to them to make informed decisions about what their next career could be based on these skill shortage areas and where the jobs are likely to be in the future. And also refugees, people with disabilities and health conditions. Next slide, please. Another main aspect of our work at Advisa is working with schools across the Thames Valley. So as you can see here, we're currently working with over 60 schools at the moment. So updating our resources to reflect the LSIP report and incorporating the data into our schools portal and our lesson plans, both of which are part of our careers information advice and guidance service for schools. So that's going to be one of our key priorities based on the report, and ensuring students have access to labour market information that provides deep and actionable insight into these important skills. And as an organisation that helps to promote and develop employability skills in individuals within our regions, we will facilitate employer attendances at local school events, produce webinars to promote career pathways into the shortage areas, and help local employers to showcase their careers. So this includes our provision to SEND young people who can, of course, provide much needed skill sets in the skill shortage areas. So I've got my contact details. Please do get in touch if you're in the audience and you want any more information around National Career Service or the schools or the employability projects that we run at Advisa. But I'm now going to pass over to Nikki, who's going to talk a little bit more about the Careers Hub within Oxlep. Thanks, Nikki.
Brilliant, thanks, Sandra. So if I could have the next slide, please. First of all, morning, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me along to talk briefly today. So I'm the Careers Hub lead, sitting within Oxlep for the Oxfordshire Careers Hub. And just so you're aware, the Careers Hub, there's over 40 Careers Hubs across the country, jointly funded by, obviously, on our part, Oxfordshire LEP, and also the Careers and Enterprise Company. And the Careers and Enterprise Company, in turn, are funded by the Department for Education, which means every young person should have access, or every school and college, secondary school and college, including special schools in England, should have access to a Careers Hub to support them in really developing their careers provision. So we work with actually all 58 schools and colleges across Oxfordshire, and that includes, as I said, all the special schools, FE colleges and alternative provision as well. And we support the careers leaders in each of those schools and the senior leadership team to really deliver a careers programme that provides all of their young people with the information they need to be able to then go on and find their best next step. So we work with those schools. We ensure that careers leaders are given the information they need to really support those young people, and that the leadership team are really bought into the importance of careers as well, and see that it's not just a tag on the side, but actually it's something that's really got to be ingrained in the whole school curriculum. So it's got to be something that every member of the school staff is engaged with in terms of really helping those young people see the benefit of what they're learning now, how it's relevant to what's out there in terms of their futures, and supporting to make that step to get to where they want to be. Also, obviously, another really important part of what we do is engage with employers, and we engage with over 100 employers across Oxfordshire, from larger business to SMEs as well, getting them really engaged with schools in a really meaningful and sustainable way. So ensuring that, again, they're able to give students experiences both within school, but also, I would say, even more importantly, outside of school, to actually see what the workplace is like. And really important that we are always focusing on those that face the most barriers, to making sure that everyone has that equality in terms of being able to move on. So you can just see there in the bottom sort of right hand corner, the Gatsby benchmarks. That, just for interest, is the framework that all schools work to when it comes to careers. And you can see from that, we're going to be bringing the LSIP into many elements of this, in terms of learning about that career and labour market information, in terms of making sure we're linking curriculum to learning about careers, that really features sort of some of those LSIP priority sectors, that those experiences of the workplace and those encounters with employers, again, making sure that our schools and colleges are very aware of the outcomes of the LSIP and are engaging with the employers that are really going to make a difference in terms of supporting young people being able to find opportunities in the future. So if you could just move on to the next slide. And very quickly, I'll just touch on some of our priorities for this year. So there are a lot of projects and opportunities that run around our work, and I can't potentially touch on all of those today. So I would urge you to go and look on our website for more detail and get in touch. And my contact details are on the next slide. But in terms of our real priorities, as I said, our role is to work with the schools to make sure that they are doing the very best work they can for the young people. That makes it sustainable. So we don't necessarily do the delivery. We enable our careers leaders, our senior leadership teams, and the employers we work with to actually deliver great experiences for our young people. As I said, I think high quality experiences. I mean, young people can't envisage what they can be doing unless they see it. So work experience, not just for your year 10s and 11s, 12s and 13s, but lower down the school as well, whether that might be an insight day or an opportunity for just a workplace visit where a young person can have a tour of a workplace, can make such a difference to enabling students to actually envisage, so this is what I could do if I follow this pathway, if I follow this track in terms of my education. Another one is around really amplifying those vocational routes. So very much sort of sings from the same hymn sheet as the LSIP, in terms of really making sure every young person is aware of all of those various pathways. It's not at all saying university is not a great option. Obviously, that is a good option for many students, but putting apprenticeships and technical and vocational routes very much on a par with that higher education route as well, and seeing that that's a really valuable route for young people to take. And we have a huge amount of support for our careers leaders around really being able to see that by linking them with training providers, by supporting with our apprenticeship ambassador program and getting those young people into school, along with many other things too. And then I said we've really got to focus on disadvantage, and we know that we need to do that lower down school as well, by really helping those young people who maybe don't have that support, that sort of breadth of support that they can lean on in terms of when they're making key decisions about their future, really focusing on ensuring those young people get the information they need through school, through employers, so they can make those great choices. And then absolutely making sure all of this links very clearly with connects to the provision to local economies as well. So where that real need is, which again, as I said, is obviously really focused on those LSIP areas. So there's a lot of work we've already done with employers, lots more we'd like to do. We have our careers fair once a year where we have over 70 employers attend. We've developed curriculum resources with employers. Le Manoir have recently done a curriculum resource with us, which we use is used in geography and food tech subjects. And then we've also do a lot of organised visits for employers as well, not just for students, but also for careers leaders. We supported Lemanuel with that one as well. And also with teachers as well. Really important, we're getting teachers out there and they're getting encounters so they can really take that learning then back into the classroom, and they can also speak to students about the variety of routes and where the real opportunities are and which sectors those sit in the future. So really urge, if you can go on to the next slide, I really do urge you to visit our website. Oh, that's not there. There were contact details. We'll make sure those get out to you. But really do urge you to visit our website, look at all the opportunities that are available and engage with us going forward. Thank you.
Okay, a big thank you to both Sandra and Nikki there. And, you know, we all know how important it is to keep doing all we can to encourage young people, and also not so young people as well, actually, to seek opportunities in these priority sectors that have been identified. And you know, we're delighted to be working closely with them on that agenda. Okay, so far we've had kind of sort of general overarching actions like workforce development partnerships, the careers work, the education and training work, but also within the LSIP there are sector specific actions for each of the priority sectors identified. And we're delighted to have Andy Whittard with us this afternoon, and you can see his role there on the slide, but as well as that, he's also a member of the employer board that helps to shape and drive both the LSIPs for Oxfordshire and Berkshire. And he's going to talk to us a bit about manufacturing for science and innovation. So over to you, Andy.
Simon, thank you very much for the introduction, and good morning, everybody. So I've got a bit of a croaky voice this morning for some reason. Thank you for the invitation to speak at this launch event. I think it's fair to say that the LSIP program has been a great initiative to really try and join up the needs of businesses and training providers to help try and plug that gap in technical skills. And for us as a business, that's important because it directly impacts productivity. And as we know, UK productivity is poor when compared to a lot of our EU neighbours. And this is something that UK businesses are really struggling with, I think. And it's particularly relevant in the manufacturing sector, a space that we operate in. So we're an SME manufacturing business, manufacturing a relatively low-tech science-based product. And of course, as Simon alluded to, manufacturing and science and innovation is a strong element within Oxfordshire. I think there's well over 100 businesses involved in this space, employing nearly 4,500 people. And of course, like a lot of regions and sectors, high prevalence of SME businesses such as ourselves, who ultimately really are the engine room of any economy. And I think what's important is, how do we feed this engine? How do we grow productivity? How do we react to the tightening employment market, which is challenging, has only been made worse by the sort of the lag of the COVID pandemic, certainly the economic pressures and high inflation that we're seeing today. And these are all factors that the LSIP program has kind of identified as being challenges. An example to share with you for us as a business is we've been trying to recruit a manufacturing process engineer for nearly 6 months now. And we found a distinct lack of suitable candidates when looking at that sort of experience and skills versus ultimately the salaries that people are demanding. And I think this highlights two things. One is clearly it's a bit of an employees market at the moment, but it's also exacerbated by a skill shortage. There aren't enough new people perhaps coming into that space. And certainly that falls in line with some of the findings that the LSIP identified within production, engineering and process skills shortages. So I certainly welcome the drive to bring employers and training providers together. I think this is challenging though, and it's been interesting hearing from the earlier speakers about how that needs to operate, because clearly training providers need to operate commercially, but SME businesses need solutions that work for them. And I think that's about flexibility, accessibility, and realistic plans that they can deploy. After all, SME businesses typically have limited resources, whether it be people to manage schemes or provide in-house support or even the funds to do that. So I think creativity in this space is going to be a great thing. So really interested to hear sort of the points that Jonathan was touching on earlier. So certainly the breadth of the ideas within the LSIP, such as the workforce development partnership that Sarah mentioned earlier, but just that collaborative working, expansion of current offerings, apprenticeships, T-levels, etc., are all going to be important. But of equal importance is the ongoing involvement of employers within the next phase, and certainly the LSIP Employers Board is really going to be key to help that come to life. And I'd certainly encourage everybody who has an interest in this space to stay involved, get involved to help it move forward. And I think it's also important that we don't just focus on technical skills, which clearly is the main focus of the LSIP. The report also brought in what's described perhaps as the softer cross-sector skills about employability, sort of leadership and management. But I'd also add into that things like continuous improvement, because that plays very strongly to my earlier point about productivity. So, I think we all recognise the shortages of suitable candidates, the skill shortages in our space, and the pressures we face when trying to recruit in the current market, and how that has an impact on our businesses with slowed innovation, slowing productivity growth and output. It's a great initiative, but I think we need providers and employers to continue to work closely together to try and move the needle on this, basically. So I look forward to seeing how the actions from the LSIP really start to try and benefit businesses across Oxfordshire and Berkshire in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you ever so much, Andy. Some really important messages coming across there, and it's great to hear directly from employers such as yourself, such as Sarah earlier, and we've got another one coming up in a moment or two. And because the LSIP has been very much employer driven, and it remains vital that we keep that in mind. And again, the messages you've got there around the partnership working between employers and education, training, I would include careers in that, within that umbrella as well, is critical if we're going to continue to move the dial, as you say, on skills needs. So thank you ever so much. If we can go to the next slide. Thanks, Ned. So you can see there next we've got Sanjay Drona, our Managing Director of the Close Care Home. As well as that role, he's also the employer champion within the LSIP structure for the care sector. So delighted to hear what you have to say, Sanjay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, first of all, for this opportunity. It's really brilliant, and I'm very proud to be the care sector champion for Thames Valley. And I think it's really interesting because we know what we hear about adult social care in the media, in general, what people's old expectations were of the sector, and they are totally not what we expect. And I say that because I came to the sector 8 years ago, having worked in hospitality and events all over the world. And I came to the care sector with some of those same judgmental views, and I was so amazed at what a dynamic and exciting place it is to be. And that's why really supporting the LSIP program was brilliant for us, and understanding it and getting involved. And what we found was that it was the first time that we have been asked these questions. It was the first time that we felt that these questions were listened. The answers that we gave, were listened to. And it was really interesting because as I went through the roadmap that came out, you could see the importance of what we were talking about. Now, in our sector, much like Sarah and in hospitality, I tend to describe working in adult social care and care homes and nursing homes very much as being in the hospitality sector that also provides personal care. So in the same way, we have our gardeners, drivers, we have our carers, chefs, laundry team. And it's really important because our communication with the team when they were creating the LSIP was, we need people to understand these are careers. I have people in my service, and I know people throughout the entire sector that started right at the grassroots level and are now running huge multi-million pound businesses. It takes aptitude, it does take intelligence, but it also takes character and emotional intelligence. And a lot of those soft skills are the things that were really well responded to in terms of learnings that people can take into their different sectors. Of course, these skills are transferable. And when we hear so positively that educational institutions and FE colleges are responding so well to the need that we have, that was really exciting. And we were really energized by that. For somebody that feels, traditionally the care sector is seen as sort of, the naughty younger brother of the NHS and healthcare. And this was the first time in a while in our area that we've really felt included, respected, and we thank the team for being able to do that, because it's going to give a voice and an opportunity to really enhance the careers of so many people in our area. So knowing that we're gonna want to stick to time. So I think that's everything that I have. If I can hand back over then.
Thank you, Sanjay. That's really great, and thank you, Andy, as well. I think both of you picking up on some key themes there around, the crux of the LSIP is around trying to improve productivity, awareness of careers that are out there, sectors that are out there that can give people really enhancing careers that they will be in, for the rest of their lives. So I think that's really important. I think we've got a few minutes left, so we will be going on to Q&A. So a few have come in. If anybody's got any others, please do pop them in. But just before we go on to that, Ned, if I could just have the next slide. I just want to make you aware of, which I think is this event that we're running on the 5th of October is very much picking up on what Andy mentioned around, I guess, those sort of, I don't like to use the word soft skills, but the sort of cross-cutting skills. So not particularly for particular priority technical skills, but those skills that are important in any area you're working in. So talking about leadership and management, and particularly around the huge impact that digitalization, the advancement of digitalization is having in the workplace. So we've got a face-to-face event running on the 5th of October, which is just south of Oxford. It's going to be in the Abingdon, Didcot area, the Courtyard Marriott. And, we would love to see as many of you there as possible. I think we've got some really inspiring speakers who are going to be talking around sort of employer engagement, how to retain staff in the tight labour market we're in at the moment, and particularly focusing in on leadership and management skills, but those practical leadership and management skills. What does that mean in terms of managing all the different generations we have in the workplace now? So that would be really, really good to see you there. But I think now we'll go over to some Q&A. So please do pop them in the Q&A chat if you have anything. I think one of the first questions we had was asking around the boot camps that Sally spoke about, asking about when they would actually potentially be coming to fruition, and would there sort of be a certain number that would need to be to engage for the courses to run. I mean, I think Sally has briefly told me that they would be looking at starting running in January 2024. Sally, did you want to say anything more on that at the moment?
Yeah, so thank you, Anna. Yeah, so Sarah, I think you asked the question. We are looking at delivery hopefully from January 4 if you get the go ahead from DfE. We haven't identified a minimum number of attendees at the moment, but plans are still early. But I think what's really keen, and the LSIP has really highlighted the need to work with employers to help create the skills that you are short of, and we are very keen to be working with the chamber and yourselves in order to create those boot camps to create the skills that you have the need for. So we are really asking for you to just register interest with us via an email, which is skills@oxfordshirelep.com, and we can hopefully work with you to create that skilled workforce on those kind of sectors that I've raised. Appreciate it is very early, but we will have more information as our kind of proposal is submitted to the DFE, and once you get that green light, we can then be a lot more proactive about what we're trying to achieve here. But it's literally looking forward to working with everybody on the call in creating these boot camps.
Thanks, Sally. I think one of the other very quick questions is, how do we get involved? Which is a great question to be asked. We will be sending out contact details for everybody and with the Q&As. But if you just go onto Oxfordshire lsip.co.uk website, you'll see all our contact details there, and we really would urge you to get involved. You know, particularly have a passion in this area, so that would be great. I think somebody else also put a question in around talking about the gap in terms of school children's understanding of the opportunities that are out there in terms of careers, and has that sort of been picked up in the LSIP? I think it has, in terms of, I think there's some outdated perceptions by not just children but parents as well around some of the priority sectors, hospitality being one of them, not seeing all the opportunities that are out there. So I think that's something that absolutely we are working with the careers teams that have been on the call today to sort of continue to look at and tackle, which they are obviously already been doing in the great work that they've been doing. Simon, have we had any other questions at the moment?
Yeah, we did have something just about, well, it's kind of linked to how do you get involved, but you know, but also in terms of what kind of impact could it have for employers, and kind of why should they get involved, I suppose, in a sense. And you know, I think it's important to emphasize again that it is very much employer driven. It is about, you know, trying to do even more to meet the needs of local businesses, and hopefully you've heard on the call today, if you're from a business background, that there are a range of ways of getting involved. I mean, the workforce development partnerships is clearly one in the sectors where we're running those. We may be able to extend some of those to other sectors going forward as well. You've heard the plea really from the careers professionals on the calls about, you know, more businesses getting involved in that work and giving more young people in particular experiences of the workplace, so that, you know, they can't be it unless they see it. So I appreciate there's challenges for employers in that, but equally, you know, it's about developing that pipeline of talent through you know, into the future. So, you know, if you are a local business and you're thinking, well, I really would like to get involved, and I would like to find out more, you know, about how the LSIP can help to meet skills needs, then, as Anna said, go onto the website and, you know, and get in touch with us, and we'd be happy to have those conversations so that we can make sure that the LSIP has the impact that we're seeking it to have. It's much more than just a piece of research and a report. It now becomes a piece of action, a call to action, really, to make the difference in Oxfordshire.
Thanks, Simon. And I'm conscious we are 1 minute to 11 o'clock. So I think probably, shall I just leave it for you to just wrap up with the last slide?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that very quickly. So we kind of debated a little bit, actually, what we should put on a next step slide, and it could have just been a list of, you know, things that we're planning to do. But to be honest with you, they're in the roadmap anyway. So in the end, we decided to emphasise the values and behaviours that we're working to, because I think actually achieving the actions in the roadmap very much depends on us working to these values and behaviours. So really our next steps are all about putting these into action. We can help to facilitate some progress, but we can only achieve it and add value if we're working together collaboratively, but also openly, inclusively, and as it says in here, with clear thinking and talking, which puts the needs of businesses and the needs of local people first. This also, our values and behaviours also recognise that this is a long game that we're playing here. I mean, trying to solve these skill shortages is a long piece of work, and we're looking with your help to make an ongoing impact, obviously over the next 2 years, but then also beyond the lifetime of the LSIP as well. And I think it just remains to be said that, you know, we're really looking forward to working together with you on this. I think there's exciting things happening already. I think there's lots of engagement and buy-in to the report that's been produced, and we're really keen now to get stuck in and see that action plan realised.
Thanks, Simon. That's great. And I think really it's just to say thank you very much for joining us. You know, we hope you found this informative, and we hope to hear from you connecting up with us to continue on the journey with us. So goodbye, everybody. Thank you.